If you want a compact film camera, this is it. I'm serious. End of. This is the Rollei 35AF. Of course, this is a remaster of the original really great Rollei 35. I love it a lot. But more importantly, this actually works really well as just a compact film camera. It's not just a look. Actually, lovely to use. So Rollei 35AF, as the name suggested, it is based on the original Rollei 35 but with AF. So what was the Rollei 35? It was a camera from around 60s, 70s, from Rollei obviously, and it was the smallest 35mm film camera. Like if you compare to like this fully automatic Olympus Mule, for so many years, they are still around the same size. Of course, there was like Minox. I think Minox 35 was smaller, but not much smaller than this. And this is it. This looks so cool and lovely. Well, you may see that something quite kind of rough here because it was used by Kai in one of an unreleased digital web video. And yeah, it became like this. But I still love it. I still use it now because this is so small. It's got some quirkiness, like the lens, you have to extend it first. The winder is on the left. As you may know, usually it's on the right. So it's easier for you to just do it one hand. And this camera is purely zone focusing, so that you don't have any focusing confirmation. Like for example, on the SLR, you look through the viewfinder. If it's clear, then it's clear, and there's some focusing screen to help you. Nothing on here. The viewfinder here, when you look through the viewfinder here, it's always clear. You can only guess like roughly 3.5 feet or something like that, and then you set it on the lens barrel here and hope for the best, or maybe use a kind of a little bit smaller aperture so that more things in focus or something like that. And because I used to use meter, so I have to look at the light meter from the top and set the exposure and then turn it around to focus because meter is at the bottom. What else at the bottom is the film counter. Yeah, it's at the bottom. So you want to check how many frames you have taken. Turn it upside down. And horseshoe at the bottom. So they have released some flash for this as well. Of course, you can use other flashes at the bottom, as big as the camera itself. And if you don't want the light to shine from behind to people's face, you turn it upside down to take photo. Yeah. Rollei 35AF carry on with a lot of the quirkiness and the coolness. When you put them side by side, the new one is a little bit bigger, but it's not that much bigger. Especially, it got so much more stuff. It's got autofocusing, it got a flash, especially even just the autofocusing window is that big. And it got a battery. It's actually quite kind of surprised that they fit everything into a body that's just slightly bigger, to be honest. And they still look practically the same. You still have the shutter speed dial here, aperture dial here, and the disc in front. They don't do any actual camera function. This is just for you to remind yourself you have 24 frames for your film, or is it a color negative or black and white or color slide? Just like this one, this is also doesn't do anything with the camera, but this one actually do something because you have to set the ISO here, the film ISO here. Back then it's ASA, so that the light meter would work correctly. On the top, also really similar. Of course, they have to keep this winder on the left. And as you can see, the lens is kind of, they try to make it look a little bit like the old one as well. But the old one, of course, is extend quite a bit more. This don't extend and retract at all. At the bottom, they keep this film back unlock switch almost exactly the same. I like it. And then the film rewind arm as well. It works the same. as the old one as well. Shutter button on the old one, yeah, really similar, maximum 500 of a second, which is the same as the new one, also maximum 500 of a second. This also has a long exposure stop, which you can set the long exposure time here with a hard press. It also has automatic. You select A in the shutter, and now the shutter will choose automatically for you. On the old one, the aperture dial, there's a unlock here. Press it down and then just set your aperture. There's no two action that you don't have to like press it down to turn or whatever. Push in and turn, which is exactly the same on the new one as well. Yeah, it's cool and all that, but is it actually a good camera? Is it actually feel good to use? Does it actually works? Just notice I just shot my first shot, and then apparently after you take a shot, before you wind the film, the shutter button will be flushed and you can't press it anymore until you wind it. This is quite genius design. It would be quite difficult for me to wind this. Just one hand will, another hand filming, but I found a way. Okay. If you have looked at some other reviews online about this camera, you may heard that literally heard that the AF motor is quite loud. Yeah, it is quite loud for today's standard, but in the city, in this environment, I don't actually hear it that clearly. I mean, it's just a little bit. I mean, even I have to put it to my face. And also a lot of film camera before in the 90s, the automatic winding is actually louder than this, like, you know, that kind of. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I hope it will be quieter, especially if I'm going to use it in quiet places. But yeah, that's something you probably should know about. It's loud for today's standard, but it's not loud. By the way, I need to find a better photo lab next time. Yeah, that shutter actually works. I feel that it's not sticking loud, so I haven't wind it. I mean, like on my OM1, I have to actually try to press it before I realize I haven't wind it. But this, you just touch it and feel the shutter button, and you know that you haven't wind it. This is really clever. So if I press it fully down, it would focus and take a shot. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, it won't take a shot before it focus. You have to like focus and take the shot. A little bit of delay, but yeah, this is what I expect, to be honest. My expected behavior. But you can also pre-focus, hold the button, and it will lock in that focus. So you can pre-focus in somewhere and then just wait. Yeah. I always like coming to Barbican. Look at this place. What those geometry shapes like that. I mean, at first I saw some photos online. So because I was thinking, is it place real? It kind of like utopia thing. It kind of like those drawings that architects make, and then it will never become a reality. But this is real. And I realize it's still here. This is amazing. Look at this bit. That corridor is technically and it's actually underwater. One thing is that try not to cover those sensors, especially this big black window. This is an AF sensor. This camera, have I mentioned it? It actually focuses with laser. With a laser, it determines the distance. So just finished that roll that kind of left in the camera, so to rewind, to change a new film, exactly like the original Rollei 35 as well. Wind until you feel no more resistance. And I like that because this camera is so small, you take the whole back off, half of the camera. What? This is my film case. Now, one thing for film beginners, one thing is that it happened to me before is that when I load the film, it actually didn't load correctly, so it don't actually pulling the film out. What happened is that I keep shooting to 36, 37, 38, or why does it keep going? And I realized I didn't actually take any shot at all. So to prevent that, so this is the rewind arm, but this is directly connect to your film roll. So when you wind, this should turn. Yeah, but sometimes there's a little bit of slack, so give it a bit of tension. Yeah, that works. I mean, just good looking isn't good enough. Just the nostalgic of that it looks like a retro camera, it doesn't really good enough. It has to work well, and this work well and easy to use. You know what else is work well and easy to use is this sponsor, the sponsor of this video, not VPN. You can't keep saying, oh, you need VPN or you need VPN without it actually works well. But not VPN is really easy to use. You install it and turn it on, and basically that's it. I have used it for years. I can't remember I have any issue with it at all. The one thing really important is that VPN keep your ISP or the Wi-Fi in the cafe you're using from knowing what website you're going to, but instead VPN knows every website you connect to. The most important thing is that NordVPN is actually confirmed by third-party verdict to confirm that they don't have any record of what website the customer goes to. That it probably is the most important thing of choosing a VPN. And of course, it hides your IP from the website you are going to. It can make you appear to be connected to the website in another country, in any country you choose. And now with the link in the description down below or with the QR code, you sign up for 2 years, it gives you 4 months absolutely free. Also, if you try it out and you don't really like it, you can cancel it within 30 days and get all your money back. Basically, a free trial. One thing I absolutely love that they got this right is the controls. You're looking down from the top. So you can look from the top and then set the aperture or the shutter speed. And what they actually got it really right is that other than manual control, fully manual control, there is an auto stop on the shutter speed. So when you set the shutter speed to A, the shutter speed will be automatic. And that's it. There is no, I don't want to keep mentioning the Nikon ZF, but I really don't like that you pick a mode and then depends on what mode you're picking, those rings may or may not do anything. But on this is really right. Whatever value you see on the dial, it is the value it is using. And then it's so clever that the A mode on the shutter speed there is plus and minus exposure compensation as well. That's not another compensation dial or anything. So simple. This camera is for old photographers like me, or it's also for new beginners as well, because you can simply use auto mode on the shutter speed. And yeah, you have to pick your aperture, but come on, it is really easy. Like small number is for bokeh, And when you don't need bokeh, and if there's plenty of light, you can use something in between, something in the middle like 5.6 or f8. Yeah, can't be that difficult. Also, that LED display is really clever too. Now it shows you that it is too bright because I have ISO 400 film, maybe not a good choice for today. Well, I don't expect the sun come out today. So you have to close down the aperture. Yeah, and then now it's okay. So also if you do full manual, and this becomes your light meter as well. I mean, it really feels just like using an old film camera. So you look down from the top, set the setting, look at the light meter. It's lovely, it feels the same. A new camera that feels exactly like an old film camera that I used to. So I've mentioned it actually works well as a film camera, and also a really great throwback of the original. What I mean is that on the original, that like what to keep and what to improve on. You can't just change everything and it become another completely different camera. But you can't just keep everything the same. Like why don't I buy the old one? So focusing, originally manual focus. Now you have autofocus with laser, the LiDAR sensor. And then they keep the manual aperture and shutter speed dial. That's really great. I love it. But for beginners, you still got some kind of automation. Now this quirky film winder on the left, of course they have to keep it. I love this. I don't really think that it needs auto winding. Keep it small as well. I mean, if they add auto winding, the camera would be bigger. And they add a flash and a self timer. Well, the original one doesn't have self timer, but doesn't mean you can't add one. Yeah. When you try to make a remaster of the original, the OG, it's really hard to retain yourself from overthinking, overdo it, like adding Bluetooth and then there's an app to do whatever, and then there's a touch screen or even a touch sensitive shutter button or whatever. Add tons of modes into it. And behind this is actually from a Hong Kong company, Mint Camera. They started from refurbishing Polaroid camera with warranty to making their own new instant camera, and now their first 35mm film camera. And I'm super honored to have their CEO, Gary Ho, to talk about developing this Rollei 35AF. The first question I would like to ask is, why Rollei 35? Do you just start from, oh, I just want to make a film compact camera, or you, from the very beginning, you want to make a remaster of Rollei 35?
Back then, I don't know if you remember, but there was an article on Petapixel where Bellamy from Japan Camera Hunter, she wrote something about like urging manufacturers to remake the compact, premium compact camera. But I didn't take the idea very seriously back then, until one of my friends came up with the idea of reinventing the Rollei 35 because, you know, he owns a lab shop. Customers kept on going to his lab, and then with the Rollei 35, but they, like most of the photos turned out pretty bad, mainly due to the lack of autofocus. By the way, the Rollei 35, the original, only had a zone focus. Because, you know, Mint makes a Polaroid SX70s, and it's how we started. And I like classic, iconic, not just cameras, even like furniture and all that stuff. I like these retro classics. So I thought the Rollei 35 was a very good starting point. So yeah, it was basically from the very beginning.
Another thing I want to ask you is that I feel like you find a really good balance between like how auto it is. It's really easy to overdo it, like putting Bluetooth iPhone app or even a touch-sensitive shutter button. Like, how do you retain yourself from overdoing it and make it become a touch screen or something?
First of all, I think feature creep is a major issue because everybody wants everything on the camera. We kept what was totally necessary and just kind of like removed the features that we thought were not on top of the list. And I think to our advantage is that we're a small company. The team is just 5 to 6 people actually working full time, developing the camera, and that's why we all agree that feature creep is a bad thing. But you know, like when the company gets bigger and stuff, there will be more opinions, and I think that's where it gets harder to control this feature creep thing. But we're lucky, to our advantage that we can keep the product nice and simple.
So I'm going to ask a little bit more about a more camera geek kind of question. One thing is that it use a laser to focus, the LiDAR sensor. All of the previous compact camera that have autofocusing, they all use infrared. Like, is LiDAR actually better than infrared? Because to me, it feels like it's the same. It's shine a light and then it calculate the time, it bounce back. So what's the difference? Is it actually better? It sounds better. It sounds better, focus with laser.
Yeah, it definitely sounds better and more fancy, but actually it also works better too because it works very well in all weather conditions, most weather conditions, and all ambient light conditions, especially in the dark and outdoors. And the range is much better, and the precision is also much better. The reason for this huge improvement in distance sensing is because of the autonomous driving industry, which has really it has really pushed this technology forward. On the other hand, you know, infrared sensors aren't available anymore because nobody really makes cameras anymore. Yeah.
Oh, so basically infrared sensing is basically gone.
Well, I tried Googling and I couldn't find anything. If anybody watching this video, yeah.
Another thing I want to ask is, why is there no horseshoe?
That's a very good question. I didn't realize that so many people would want a horseshoe. That I thought was I wouldn't use one, but maybe in the future.
I mean, to be honest, I'm probably not going to use it even if it had a horseshoe. It's just that the old one got a horseshoe at the bottom. It's just the quirkiness of the Rollei 35 that I would like to see on here because it's so weird at the bottom.
I don't know. Back then, I just thought the natural thing to do was to remove the horseshoe. I didn't. Yeah, realize that so many people would be interested.
I just think it's funny to have the horseshoe still on here at the bottom. One last thing I want to ask is that, can manual focus be implemented on this? Have you tried to add manual focus on this?
Yeah, at the very beginning of the project, we did consider something of that sort, but the camera would be much bigger and in size, and the complexity would be much greater. That's why we ditched the idea very early on. But it would be a dream come true, I mean, but it's not something that's easy to make, at least within the size constraints.
Yeah, I understand. Like, I really want that it also have, I mean, as a photographer, it's really greedy that I want this, I want that, I want autofocus, I want manual focus as well. But I understand that it would be difficult and it would make the camera much bigger, which I don't want. I'd rather just like this. So Thank you very much. I'm really glad that you guys make this. That's such a gift to the photography community.
Yeah, we'll keep going and make more products.
Yeah, please.
In the future, yeah. Thank you for having me today, Locke.
But there's something that I think it could be improved. Now, I have to say this is based on, this is a prototype, pre-release model. This is not the final product. But one thing is sure is that it has a bit more plastic parts. I mean, without looking at the original, with this camera, it's already really lovely. It's solid, it's all metal. But if you have handled the old one, you feel like, yeah, there's quite a bit more plastic. Around the shutter button, this is plastic as well. The battery door is, yeah, in your face. Now let's not pay too much attention to the build quality because this is a prototype. Especially Kai scratched that. Kai scratched this camera really badly. But the battery door is, the design is still, yeah, really in your face. I guess, I mean, it's really hard to, like, where else you can put the battery. The battery is that big. You can't put it bottom half because the bottom half is just a case. I guess there must be a way to design this look a little bit better, but yeah. And the one thing I really want is to know what shutter speed that it picks when the shutter is on the A stop, when it picks its own shutter speed. There's no way I can tell that what shutter speed that it had picked. Actually, some old film camera, you have a little bit of display in the viewfinder. Just a bunch of little LED inside the viewfinder to tell you what shutter speed it is using. That's just one thing I really hope it had. But I'm just a greedy photographer. Like, I want everything, many focus or whatever. This is incredible for all the reasons I have mentioned, and also for a new film camera coming out today. If you got the pre-order anyway. I mean, there are still, I mentioned there are still tons of second-hand film camera you can buy. But then a lot of like purely mechanical film cameras are fine for second-hand. But anything with electronic, anything with a little bit of automation, if the electronic die, that's it. You can't find replacement. Nobody make these parts anymore. Like Gary mentioned, even nobody make those infrared autofocusing sensor anymore. Even though I keep mentioning that I'm not keen on the Pentax 17, but at the end of the day, they did a great global thing for the photography community, for bringing film camera back with warranty, new camera with warranty. And I'm already dreaming of like what's the next classic camera they can bring back, or anybody can bring back.